All right, for this drawing assignment, we're going to zone in on one region of the United States. We're still focused on indigenous people of North America. And I'm talking about the Northwest coast. Okay, so think along Oregon, Washington, even kind of down and up into Canada. Okay. The tribes specifically, some of the tribes that inhabited this area that we will take a look at their art are the Haida, the Tlingits, and the Haotsu. In fact, the art that you're looking at right now that's playing behind me is Haida art, okay? So the art from this region is very stylized, although each tribe kind of has their own flair. The styles are generally the same. Before Europeans made contact, they focused on wood carvings. The totem poles come from this region. They also did stone and copper. It wasn't until a little later, after the Europeans made contact, that they started to use paper and textiles more prominently. Most common colors used in this art are red and black. However, you'll see some examples that have some green and some yellow later on. You're also going to see big patterns that often fill natural forms. So natural forms are things like people and animals. Common animals are bears, ravens, eagles, orcas, because they lived along the coast. And then also, of course, humans were there. An artist, I'll give you an artist's name. One Haida artist who is known for exceptional wood carvings, and you'll see an example, is Albert Edward Edenshaw. He really intricate, great examples of this style of art. Other styles of art or mediums are chiclets, which are weavings or tapestries. You'll also see in a lot of the examples a mirrored symmetry in the designs. It means that if you split it right down the middle, it looks like there's a mirror and it's reflected. You can actually see this in the Haida people's flag, which is a white design, a white mirror design set on a red background. So that's where we're going to start this project. So for this project, all you need are pencil, paper, and then something to color pencil, sorry, pencil, paper, and color pencils. We'll use color pencils on this project because we're going to work on adding a little bit of shading. And I'm going to show you a way to get a mirrored image. That way you don't have to worry about getting it precise on each side. All right, so here are the requirements for this assignment. First of all, your design must fill the whole page, all right? Please don't do something small. It'll make it really difficult to complete. Fill the whole page. The next one, it needs to have color, must have color. Now, you don't have to color the background, but your design, your Indigenous people design has to have color. We're going to use color pencils for this. And then the final requirement is craftsmanship and creativity. So for this one, I'm looking for good color pencil work. I'm looking for an original design. I'm not saying that you can't use draw inspirational images on the web, but you really need to really get creative on this one. I would recommend watching the entire video before you get started. Towards the end, I'll show you some design elements that you can incorporate, and you can just kind of pause the video where you need them. But like I said, I would watch all of it before you begin. That way you don't make an error. So grab your paper, grab your pencil, and let's get going. All right, guys, in your drawing, the very first thing you need to do is you're gonna need to kind of decide on what animal you're doing and what design you're gonna do. So I'll throw up right now a couple of like design element pictures to kind of show you to get it going. And the awesome thing about videos is you can rewind and fast forward and stuff. But kind of once you've decided and you've looked through some of the art and all of that, and you've watched the beginning part of the video, it doesn't matter which direction you have your paper. It can be landscape or portrait. I'm gonna do a couple of eagles, so I want mine to be in landscape. So once you've kind of made your decisions and you've done a little bit of your research, you've got to divide your paper in half, because the awesome thing about this, that how I'm going to teach you to do the mirrored image, like shown in some of the examples, is you're not going to have to redraw it necessarily. You're gonna do kind of an imprint. So once you've made your decision, go ahead and draw lightly a line just straight up and down your paper. That way you're only responsible right now for drawing half. Now I'm going to quickly go through and draw my example. I'm going to speed it up. You are more than welcome to do something similar to mine, although for the originality portion of this grade, you will need to come up with your own, because I want to see what you can do. So just kind of bear with me while I get one half of mine drawn. Remember the drawing tip, draw it light until you get it right. I'm sure you're going to see me erase a ton here in a second. So here we go. Once you've got your drawing done on half of your page, notice I only did half, you're going to need to go over it and make the lines a little darker. That's going to help the transfer. So I'm going to speed up the video, but I'm just tracing over the lines I've already done to make them a little darker. Okay, once you've got your drawing retraced to make sure the lines go a little bit darker, now we need to make the imprint for the other side, okay? Really the only tip that I have, well, I've got a couple. But first, before you start adding any pressure or starting your transfer, you need to make sure to give your paper a good crease. The crease does, most importantly, will allow you to be able to look back and forth to make sure that the transfer was complete, and then you can close it and it's matched. If you don't crease it and you just kind of have your paper like this, you open it up, you run the risk of not being able to line it back up, okay? So after I drew it, went back over it to make my lines a little bit darker, now I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to fold it right along that line that I drew. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, make sure that it's as close as I can get it in there. Okay, you kind of might have to kind of like get up under there and then give it a good crease right here. And you can open it up to make sure, yeah, that's pretty good. My line wasn't exactly straight, so I can fix that when I fix the drawing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close my paper, right? And you have a couple of different ways you can do this. You can get a towel and like kind of press with the heel of your palm. You can get something heavy like a Gatorade bottle and you can press like this. The way that I like to do it, actually, if you take your pencil and write over the design kind of color quickly. I'm pressing kind of hard. I mean, I'm obviously not ripping through my paper, right? And so then I just go over the entire back of the design like this. Now make sure you get all the way up against this fold, because you want to make sure that the stuff that you drew right along the line gets transferred too. And I also, you probably noticed too, my paper isn't slipping around. I actually taped my paper on the back side for a couple of reasons. One, so I could keep it lined up for the video, and two, I knew I'd be doing this step, but definitely don't have to do that. So you can quickly go here. And obviously this is the back, so it doesn't matter. It can look pretty messy, pretty sloppy. All right, make sure I get down here because my design filled the whole page, which is one of the requirements. Whoop, I gotta sharpen it. I've worked my pencil down to a nub. All right, let's get back at it. There. Making sure that I get up all along that crease. All right. You can actually, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can actually kind of see when you do it this way, the indentions of the drawing underneath in your kind of scribble marks. All right, so let's do a quick check. Right, so it's very, very, very light. You are not going to probably be able to see it on the camera, but once you open your paper, what's left is a mirror copy of your drawing, okay? And if it's too light on yours and you can't quite see it, if you close it back again and try doing it and pressing a little bit harder, that might make the impression a little bit more bold. But I know that you probably can't see it because it's really light. So once you've made your impression, you can open it back up, and then you're essentially just tracing over the lines that were transferred over on the other half of your page. All right, so I'm going to, through some photo magic, I'm going to go ahead and get that traced, and here you go. All right, you can see here that I've jumped a few steps ahead. So once I drew half of it, went back over it to make the lines darker, made my impression, right, by coloring on the back, and then I retraced the transfer over here. I've actually started adding color, which is one of the requirements. So for this project, craftsmanship and originality are big components. And I'd like you to practice using your color pencil to add some value. Remember, value is the lightness or darkness of color. And in art, a lot of times we use value to show shading. So even though this is two-dimensional and we're not even trying to draw a sculpture, I'd like you to try to work in places where you can add some lightness or darkness of color. Color pencil is excellent for that, right? So if you start lightly, you can create kind of an even layer. This is one way that you can add some value using color pencils. It's called layering. So if you start and you do just kind of I'm pressing very, very lightly. If you press lightly, you notice you can get a really nice even color pencil layer, and then to build it up like this one over here, so that you kind of see how it's dark around this crescent moon shape, to build up that value, to make it a little darker, then over a series of 3 or 4 layers, I go back over the same with the same color pencil, and each time pressing a little bit harder, so adding a little bit more pressure. The way that I'm adding value to this, kind of where it looks like it's kind of a shadow back behind it, it's just one way. You've got a lot of options here, but I want you to kind of to play around and experiment with adding, layering your color pencil, making some parts darker than others. You'll notice that it'll make just kind of a simple two-dimensional drawing come to life a little bit more if you add some of that value. So I'd like you to get to work. Here in just a second, I'll throw up a series of inspirational images that you can pause on, excuse me, to get some ideas. Be sure to check back at the requirements. Another, like I said, the awesome thing about videos. I will show you mine when I am all done. I'm actually kind of excited how this is turning out. You do not have to color the background, only if you would like to, but you do have to have a full page picture, and I do want your entire design to be filled with color and color pencil. So get to work, and be sure to upload your drawings to Google Classroom by the end of the day on Friday.